Hi, everyone. I hope your week was good. I hope that you managed to do something exciting or fun, even in spite of everything. Today, our story is about the Good Shepherd, but before I get into it, I wanted to ask you a question. Was there a time you did something that you did it because you listened to someone and you probably knew you shouldn't, but you did it anyway? And did you get in trouble for it? I, unfortunately, have had a few cases where I listened to someone who I probably shouldn't have, and I did something that ended up landing me in a lot of trouble. So, trying to think of a good example, but the one that often pops into mind is there was a time when we were at a baseball tournament years ago, and we really, really wanted to stay and see the last game, the final. We weren't in it because we weren't good enough, but a group of us wanted to stay and see the final game because we had been there all weekend and just wanted to see how it turned out. So most of the other families had actually gone home. There were just, I think, 4 of us or 5 of us who wanted to stay. So we worked on our parents, and they finally said, "Fine, we'll stay for a few extra hours and we'll watch the game." Well, I don't remember which one of us decided this was a good idea, and I don't even remember what town we were in, but we decided, the group of us, that we would go downtown and we would go to the video game parlor and play games and hang out, which we did, and it was a blast, and we had lots of fun. And it never even crossed our mind that the reason why we were supposed to be there was to watch the final game. And that was the only reason our parents had let us stay, was to watch that final game. And here we were in a video game place, playing video games and having a great time and forgetting all about the reason why we should have been there to begin with. So, of course, when we got back, we were in a fair bit of trouble, honestly. Our parents were not happy with us. So we should have known better, but one of us decided to convince the rest that this was a good idea, and it turned out to be a bad idea. I'm sure we've all had times like that in our life. The story we have today for our gospel today is a story of the Good Shepherd, about Jesus telling people that those who know his voice, the shepherd's voice, as he calls himself in this text, this story, will be able to follow him. But there'll be always other voices that will often interfere with that, will try and lead us astray, try and lead us into things that are bad for us. That's going to be something that we have to face our entire life. We will have to face a lot of different voices in our life telling us, "Hey, this is really cool, you should do this," or "Hey, you should really do that." I think even from a young age you've been told about things like alcohol and drugs, and how you have to say no, especially to drugs, but even to alcohol. That these things can, if you listen to the wrong people, these things can destroy your life. Well, though, that's just one example of ways in which we are often being taken away from the kind of life we should be living, and live the kind of life that only ends up leading into, well, bad things, sometimes really bad things. And it's not the life that Jesus wants for us. What Jesus wants is for us to listen to his voice. And his voice tells us, go and be kind to others, and love God, and love your parents and your family and your friends, but even love the stranger. Protect people, support people, care for the environment. Do the best you can no matter where you are, and do the best for the other people around you as well. This is the kind of thing that Jesus' voice tells us to do. Sometimes that's directly against what these other voices tell us. They say, no, only for you. Do exactly what you need to do, and only for you. What makes you feel good and what makes you feel whole, that's all that's important. But Jesus said, well, that's important to a point. What's even more important is that you serve others and you are followers of me, that you love God and you love one another, and that you worship God and not money or fame, and that you try and make this world a better place. It's not always easy to listen to the shepherd, honestly, because these other voices can be so exciting and so easy to and seductive. It's so easy to follow, especially when sometimes the voice of the shepherd is calling us to difficult things. But in the end, that voice is still calling us to the best possible life. So, as you go about your day, pray, and your days and the weeks and just throughout your life, one of the easiest ways to listen to the shepherd is through prayer, to clear our minds and clear our hearts, and to just open up to God in prayer and not have to even say anything. We're not always talking to God. Oftentimes, prayer is just about listening to God. And so, when we listen, then we can actually hear God's voice, the shepherd's voice, guiding us into life, into God's life, into true life, and away from the things that would hurt us. So, I also promised that I would continue Peter's adventures. So I've written chapter 2 now, or part 2 if you want. So I'll read that to you and then we'll close in prayer. So, chapter 2. When Peter woke up, and remember, he had fainted last week because suddenly a hummingbird was in his room, had been knocking or scratching at the window. He let it in and it was not what he expected and he passed right out. So when Peter woke up, he immediately noticed 3 things. 1, the clock beside his bed said 1 a.m., which meant he had been out cold for 4.5 hours. He had a horrible headache, and, much to his dismay, the hummingbird was still in his room, hovering at the end of his bed. He almost passed out again when he saw that it was still there, but he willed himself to get to his feet and try and get rid of the thing. He looked around his room for anything that could help. His eyes fell on a badminton racket. He took a step towards it before a tiny, honeyed voice said, "Please don't pick up your badminton racket. I am not here to hurt you." Who said that? He looked around the room, wondering who else was in there with him. But he was alone with the hummingbird. The voice spoke again. "I'm right here. I've been here since you fainted, waiting for you to wake up." Peter looked in stunned horror at the hummingbird. His knees almost went out from under him again. He caught himself on the edge of the bed. "Please don't faint again. I would rather not be here all night, watching you hit the floor over and over again. It is no fun watching you drool on your carpet, and you snore." Peter tried to say something, anything, to the strange creature hovering in front of him. After almost a minute, he finally managed to let out a ragged grunt that sounded more like someone deflating an old basketball. Or something like that. "Okay, that was nice." The hummingbird's sweet tone indicated it was trying to be polite, but was starting to lose patience. Peter tried again. "What are you?" "A hummingbird." "But a talking hummingbird? I've never heard of such a thing." "We are very rare. Most of us are in the service to the one over the seas." "Who?" "The one over the seas." "Never mind. That isn't important right now. What is important is why I'm here." "I assumed you were here to kill me." If a hummingbird could look both shocked and hurt, this one managed it somehow. "How could you think such a thing? That's terrible. How could I possibly manage that? I'm tiny. You could crush me with 2 fingers." Peter shrugged. "Well, I was scared. With your pointy beak and speed, I thought that maybe you could get me before I could get you. I don't know. I know it doesn't make any sense, but that is the way I am. I can find a reason to be scared of everything. And once I have, I can never shake that fear, no matter how hard I try." The hummingbird hovered in silence for a moment. When it spoke next, its words seemed deliberate and somehow more formal. "That is why I am here. I have come to guide you on a quest. I am to be your guide." "You mean like a spirit animal?" "Me? Your spirit animal? As if. No, your spirit animal, if you actually had one, would probably be a lion or something." "A lion? I thought they were brave. Not the male ones. Bloody cowards they are. Look at them wrong and they run for the females. Oh, Peter looked rather crestfallen. Oh, I didn't mean it that way. I know you struggle with courage, but what you are now is not what you have to be for the rest of your life. Yes, you are scared of things. Well, you're scared of everything, but that's why I'm here. Yes, you said to take me on a quest. What is the quest for? What are we searching for? Your courage. There was another moment of silence. Are you ready? Now? Peter couldn't keep the rising panic out of his voice. Yes, now. No time like the present. How? Just say you are ready, then step up to the window, and we will be off. That's it? That's it. 100 thoughts buzzed through Peter's mind, most surrounding him running to his parents' room, screaming for help. But one thought, only one, kept surfacing. It was persistent, and he couldn't push it away, no matter how hard he tried. He didn't want to be a coward anymore. He wanted to be brave, like he had been once upon a time. He took a deep breath. I'm ready. He stepped up to the window, took another breath, and opened the window. Well, that's all for today. I hope you have a good week. Blessings on your days ahead, and we'll talk again with you next week. Bye for now.